Hi, Peter Jones, author, property investor, ex-Chartered Surveyor, and in this short video I want to look at 4 different models of buy-to-let investing, and I'm going to tell you which model I think is the best model because it's the model which I use. Why 4? Well, because just to start off with, we often think about buy-to-let as being something we do with residential property, but there's absolutely no reason why you can't buy-to-let with commercial property. I think you need to be very, very careful of that because a commercial property is almost certainly going to be more expensive in terms of cash than a buy-to-let residential property, and you're probably not going to get such generous lending terms from a commercial lender, and there's all sorts of inherent risks with commercial property which you don't get with residential property, which I won't go into now, but it just happens to be the case. So that could be model number 1. Model number 2 is residential buy-to-let investing, and this would be buying a property, putting a tenant into the property, collecting the rent, and then hoping that at some stage the capital value of the property goes up. And this is a model which many would-be investors use, many investors who don't know that there are other ways of doing it, many investors who perhaps haven't really thought about what they're trying to achieve or how the market actually works. And you know, if you buy a property and you hold it for long enough, then over time one would hope that the capital value is going to go up. But I wouldn't call that investing, I'd call that speculating. And as we'll see in the next model, there could be issues around cash flow and paying for the property anyway, depending upon where you buy it. So it's a relatively unsophisticated form of investing. The next model is slightly better because that's buying a property, putting a tenant in, and making sure that the property is cheap enough so that it has a high enough return so that once you've paid for your expenses, there's surplus cash, which is effectively income for you, which you can then have. And that's okay as a model. I mean, it works, but you're going to have to think about where you buy, because if you want to buy in, say, London or the southeast, then that model's probably not going to work because the returns are going to be too low. One of the big struggles about buying in a high value area like London or the southeast of England is that the returns are so low that you're not going to have the surplus cash and you're going to be struggling to break even. You may even not be able to break even and you may have to subsidise the property, in which case I'd say, is that really investing? If you're just hoping for capital growth again, well, again, I'd say that is speculating. So the last model, which is the model which I use and which I prefer, is to buy a cheaper property, usually in a cheaper area, where I can buy a cheaper property at what I would hope to be a bargain price, and then add value. And usually the adding value is by a new kitchen, a new bathroom, redecorating, maybe upgrading the electrics, maybe upgrading the heating system if it needs it. But principally, it's going to be bathroom, kitchen, decorations, carpets. And I can then add enough value so that after 6 months, I can then refinance the property. And when I refinance, if my figures are right, I should be able to get all, or at least a lot of the money which I've put into the deal back out again to use on my next deal. So that would be the best way. In my world, that is the best model of buy-to-let investing. But there's different models, and which one's right for you will depend upon what you're trying to achieve, of course.
If you found this video useful, please like, follow and subscribe, and then we can keep in touch and I can send you even more great content. And if you come over to my website, www.thepropertyteacher.co.uk, and click on Learning with Peter, you'll find loads of great resources, including my best-selling home study course, The Successful Property Investor's Strategy Workshop, in which I'll take you through how I started my property business with literally none of my own money and bought £2 million worth of property in just 4 years and replaced my day job with passive income from the portfolio. It took me 4 years of trial and error to learn the best way to do this, but because I'm going to show you everything I did right so that you can copy it, and everything I did wrong so that you can avoid it, I'm sure you can achieve far more than me and far more quickly. So please visit my website for full details of this and all of my other resources.
And until next time, here's to successful property investing.